In this video, we will be evaluating exponential functions. And yes, it will really be this easy. You're just asked to evaluate this particular function when x equals 3 over 2. So that means 3 over 2 was substituted in for x. That means 3 over 2 will be substituted in for this x. And one thing that will help you understand what this means is to rewrite in radical form. So the denominator of your exponent becomes your root. So it's a square root. And the numerator of your exponent becomes the exponent. And what goes inside here is the 4. So I can take the square root of 4. That's pretty easy. That's just 2. So this whole thing becomes 2 to the third power. And 2 to the third power is 8. For the next example down here in red, we have g of x equals 1/4 to the x power, and we're just trying to figure out what is g of -3. So the -3 was substituted in for x, so the -3 gets substituted in for all x's. So this would look like 1/4 to the -3 power. Well, let's see. I think we learned this. We need to distribute the -3 to everything here. So the 1 and the 4. So this becomes 1 to the -3rd power over 4 to the -3rd power. And these negatives tell you to move the base and the exponent to the opposite side of the fraction bar. Something about being unhappy in the upstairs or downstairs apartment and needing to move and then becoming happy. Something like that. So this is 4 cubed over 1 cubed. And now that they're in the right apartments, they're happy, they have positive exponents. And this becomes 64 over 1, which is really just 64. For this last example, we will actually be evaluating this function at 2 different x values. So we'll be finding h of 5 and h of 6. So one thing that you'll want to notice here is that the base for this exponential function is 32. But there's a negative being multiplied to it. So any answers we get here will end up being negative because this negative stays. It's not part of the base, it stays out front. So if you wanted to rewrite this, it could look something like -1 times 32 to the 5 minus x power. So knowing that, we can jump into evaluating this function at 5. So the function here, h of 5, we substituted 5 in for x, which means you will substitute 5 in for this x. So let's figure out h of 5. h of 5 is -32 5 to the 5 minus 5 power. And if you simplify that, you get -32 to the 0 power. And yes, 32 to the 0 power is in fact 1, but that 1 is being multiplied by -1. That negative still has to be there at the end. So this negative comes along for the ride. There it is. 32 to the 0 power is 1. So our answer here for h of 5 is -1. And we can go through too and find what is h of 6, and that's the same thing. We just do -32 to the 5 minus 6 power. And I want to simplify this first before I do anything else. This is -32 to the -1 power. Now again, this -1 is only affecting the 32. The negative in front will still be a part of the answer, so I'm going to move that over here first. It's minus. So the negative is still there. The leading negative is still there. What this -1 exponent tells you to do is to move this base with this exponent to the opposite side of the fraction and make the exponent positive. And we have to have something in top, and it will be 1. So the answer here is -1/32 to the first power.